Good day, everyone. Today, we will be exploring one of the most important chapters in the life of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. His first travel abroad from 1882 to 1887. At just 21 years old, Rizal made a very bold decision. He left the Philippines in secret to pursue higher education in Spain. Imagine the courage it took leaving his family, his country, and everything familiar, just to seek knowledge and prepare himself to serve his people. This journey was not just about studying medicine. It was about broadening his worldview. As a result, traveled through Asia, the Middle East, and finally Europe. He observed different cultures, government, and societies. These experiences opened his eye to new ideas, liberty, equality, and progress, which were very different from the oppression he witnessed back home. During this period, Rizal not only earned his degree in medicine and studied ophthalmology, but he also wrote essay, mastered languages, and eventually completed his first novel, the Noli Me Tangere. In 1887, that novel would later spark Filipino nationalism and inspire the fight for freedom. As we go through this topic, let's keep in mind Rizal's first travel abroad was more than just a student journey. It was the turning point that transformed him from an ordinary young man into reformist and eventually into the hero of our nation. So we come now to the discussion of this topic, Rizal's first travel abroad, 1882 to 1887. So the learning objectives, the first one is trace Rizal's journey during his first travel abroad, and the second one is identify the places he visited and their significance in his education and growth. The third one is analyze Rizal's academic and personal experiences in Europe. The fourth one is appreciate how Rizal travels shape his nationalism and reformist ideas. So, introduction. So, in 1882, Jose Rizal made a very bold decision. He secretly left the Philippines to go to Spain. So, why secretly? Because during that time, the Spanish colonial authorities were very strict and they might have stopped him if they found out about his plan. So, Rizal's purpose was clear. He wanted to pursue higher education, particularly in medicine. And he also wanted to escape the colonial repression that was limiting not just his freedom, but the freedom of Filipinos in general. This journey was not just about studying, it was the beginning of Rizal's transformation. By going abroad, he was exposed to new ideas, culture, and progressive thoughts that shaped him into a global intellectual and reformist. It's during this period that he started to develop the ideas that would later inspire his writings and his fight for reform in the Philippines. So, when we look at his point in his life, we can say marked the start of Rizal's bigger mission not just for himself, but for entire nation. So now, let's move on to the Rizal departure from the Philippines. On May 3, 1882, Rizal secretly left Manila abroad the ship Salvadora, which was bound for Singapore. This was a very risky move because if the authorities discovered his plan, he could have been stopped, or worse, punished. That's why he traveled under assumed identity, pretending to be someone else to avoid suspicion. What's interesting here is that only a very small circle of people knew about his departure. His brother Pasiano, his uncle Antonio Rivera, and a few trusted friends kept his secret. So imagine how difficult that must have been, leaving your family, your country without even being able to tell everyone goodbye. So, but Rizal had very clear objectives. His main goal was to study medicine in Spain so that he could continue his education and eventually use his knowledge to help the Filipino people. More than just personal advancement, his journey was tied to a bigger purpose, his dream of contributing to the fight for reform and progress in the Philippines. So this departure was not just a simple trip. It was the beginning of his long transformative journey that would shape him into the national hero we remember today. So we come now to the travel route. Rizal's travel route started from Manila and passed through Singapore, Colombo, and Sri Lanka, even into Suez Canal, Naples, and Marseilles before finally reaching Barcelona, Spain in June 1882. Along the way, he was exposed to new cultures, customs, politics, and social system, which broadened his perspective compared to the restrictive environment in the Philippines. When he arrived in Barcelona, he was very impressed by the liberal atmosphere, so different from the colonial rule back home. From there, he continued to Madrid and enrolled at the Universidad Central de Madrid to pursue his medical studies. So let's move on to Rizal's academic life in Madrid. Rizal's academic life in Madrid was very productive. He studied both medicine and philosophy and also the latter at the Universidad Central de Madrid. Aside from academics, he joined students' organizations and even wrote patriotic essay like Amor Patrio to raise awareness about the Philippines. He was also exposed to new liberal, scientific, and humanist ideas that greatly shaped his outlook. From 1882 to 1887, Rizal traveled across Europe. In France and Germany, he pursued advanced training in medicine, especially in ophthalmology. In Belgium and Austria, he met scholars, joined intellectual circles, and immersed himself in European culture. He also learned multiple languages, which made him more connected globally. These years abroad developed Rizal not only as a doctor, but also a thinker, writer, and reformist. During his stay in Germany, Rizal continued to advance his medical studies. He trained under famous ophthalmologists like Dr. Otto Becker in Heidelberg and Dr. Louis de Wecker in Paris. Focusing on eye specialization in Germany, he was also impressed by the scientific advancement and the discipline of German society. But one of his greatest achievements here was the publication of Noli Me Tangere in 1887. He completed it while living in Berlin with help from Filipino friends who supported him. The novel exposed the injustice and abuses in the Philippines under Spanish colonial rule. Its impact was immediate. It was admired from reformists who wanted change, but at the same time, it was condemned by the colonial authorities because it revealed the harsh truth. This marks a turning point as Rizal writing gave a voice to the struggles of Filipinos and inspired a growing nationalist movement. So in Germany, Rizal reached some of highest points of his academic and intellectual journey. By this time, he had already earned his licentiate in medicine in Madrid, and he continued with advanced studies in ophthalmology to become an expert in eye treatment. He also mastered several European languages, which helped him connect with scholars and reformers across Europe. While in Berlin, he finally completed and published Noli Me Tangere in 1887, a novel that boldly exposed the injustice in the Philippines. During this period, Rizal also expanded his network by engaging with reformist group and intellectual, making him not just a Filipino, but Filipino scholar also but respective voice in Europe's intellectual circles. In conclusion, Rizal's first travel abroad from 1882 to 1887 marked the beginning of his transformation into a true national hero. He secretly left the Philippines to pursue higher education, studied medicine and philosophy in Spain, and traveled across Europe where he gained knowledge, mastered languages, and immersed himself in liberal and scientific ideas. So, in Germany, he completed advanced training in ophthalmology and published No Limit Tangere, a novel that exposed the injustice of Spanish rule. This journey not only shaped him as a doctor and scholar but also as a reformist whose work inspired Filipinos to fight for freedom and change. So that's all. Thank you.